looking for, because I think if they stick to the tried and true of what they've gone for in previous matches, then they should be absolutely fine. With that Poppy ban by WE, that frees up a third ban for EDG, which is kind of the discussion point here that they may have been going through. And then it's a case of what do we see getting first picked? I mean, these Game 3 first picks are always a little bit more difficult to try to predict, but Wukong is still available at the minute, which seems to be the flavor of choice for, you know, lower down jungle picks. So we may end up seeing that either get banned, get picked, have some sort of priority.
Yeah, I do wonder if we're going to see something a little bit more spicy out of Monki coming into this Game 3 where, you know, you need to win. I wonder if he's going to go back to the well on that Neferi. It's not as good as it once was when it took over Split 2, but it feels like you need some sort of spark, something a little fresh to come out of the jungle in order for you to go ahead and win. I would be appalled if they lock this, and I know how good it is, but listen, Game 1... you need to get a win. You pick the winless Vi. Game 3, you're down 0-2, and you haven't won a damn game on Wukong all year, and you're going to go and lock it in when your hopes of continuing in the playoffs, your hopes of hanging on to a spot to at least get into the gauntlet to make Worlds are on the line. You go for a champion you haven't won on all year.
Yeah, I mean, Monki for Monki. The names are panning out.
Oh no, bro!
I wanted to talk about this Akali. The Akali needed to be locked in here. Akali sets up really nicely with the Wukong. Those double knockups mean that you can get shuriken flips in. But the Galio ban from WE, they were setting themselves up for this, but didn't have the gumption to go for it B1. They banned away the Galio, the known, the tried and tested counterpick to the Akali, and then didn't take it for themselves. They were playing this gambit, saying to EDG, saying to Angel in particular, we know you play this, champ. Do you want to take it off your hands first of all? And now WE have got a... it doesn't matter what Taeyoon picks this game. He's going to die a bunch, right? Like, he can play Ezreal, he can play Xayah. It doesn't matter. This guy's getting owned because the enemy team has Pantheon Akali.
You're going to go for some early strength, going to go grab this Corki, try to be strong while the Akali is hopefully still a little weak, but it's going to be a really thin window. Oh my goodness, if we just take a murderer's row of champions of Akali, Pantheon, and Bessa, listen, I'm in the 80 carry, I'm hitting the dodge button. Unfortunately, you're not going to get the opportunity to do so in a competitive game. I just love what EDG has together. Vampire is going to have to work overtime to try and keep these guys from ripping his team to shreds.
You know what this would be a great time for? This would be a great time to play Alistair top and then lock in Braum. And just have something to peel your team.
What are you cooking, brother?
Brother, Alistair is okay, it's good, but it is not helping Corki, okay? It can do what it can. We need, like, Lulu, Soraka. We need help. This Corki is going to be so lonely. He's going to be so darn out of his own territory that it's going to be really difficult for Taeyoon in this game. It's going to require a lot of peel, a lot of setup for WE. Now, they can use Cyclone defensively. They can use Alistair spells defensively to peel for this Corki. It is possible. It's not easy, but it's possible. But for EDG, it's all about now just doubling down, right? Like, let's find as much dive as we can out of the rest of the composition. Looking at those dive-style champions, I like that we're seeing them getting taken off the board. Maybe the Bard comes out here as a final ban for WE. But things like Jhin in that AD carry role are going to be really important as well. Maybe another AD carry that can go diving. Maybe a Zeri gets locked in for Arn here that can kind of go a little bit mental in that backline if you fancy it. But for WE, I mean, it's all hands on deck when it comes to keeping Taeyoon alive.
Let's see what we're going to get out of support here. Rakan. Got banned. Sorry about that. So he's not going to be available. That's not going to be a good option. We're going to see the Ezreal locked in here for EDG, so see if we get one of those roaming supports that sets up well for the Bard, as you mentioned. We'll see if it's also just Pantheon support and they elect to pick Sylas. Who knows? That would be wild. A Sylas jungle at this angle would be absolutely ridiculous, but I can't help but thinking in the back of my mind that maybe, just maybe, we could see that.
It's a slight... I mean, it's very, very thin possibility, but I'm not entirely against it. The Ezreal, I don't mind. I would have maybe preferred the Senna just to have that support for the dive that goes in, but Ezreal does the same thing with the ulti over the top. Now, this is actually okay for WE, where they double flex. So if Karis wants to be the one who gets owned on repeat, he can take the Corki. If, you know, Taeyoon wants to be the one that can stand a little bit further back with the Ziggs, then maybe that can work out. They have got WE here a very good front-to-back composition, right? Like, they've got some good consistent damage. They've got a good front line as well. I just don't know if they'll be able to do all the marking that they need to do, because they're gonna. You can't stop a Pantheon getting into the backline period, right? Like, he just ults over you, regardless of where you are. Ambessa as well, you can maybe try and block that public execution, but it goes to the furthest back target, so it doesn't matter if you stand in front of her. If she gets into range of your carries, they get hit. And the Akali, again, Protobell, ult. Like, mobility on Akali is just dumb. So her getting into the backline is super easy. Then you've got a Tempered Fate who can zone out just one target, can stop one person from doing their marking, and then all of a sudden the pieces can start crumbling. And the Scion can only block from one way. All this time, if he's not blocking in the front line, that means that Ezreal's getting free poke. It means that Arn's doing all of this damage. And for WE, it's about finding those fights. It's about Cube charging headlong in, finding the weakest part of this pincer, and then the rest of WE being able to follow up on it as well.
You're going to need to do a lot of heavy lifting as this Ziggs. You are going to have to get a lot of this poke down. Let's take a look at our predictions. Listen, we're cooked, brother. You and I are Kelsey, Slayer,
07.
3 2s and the 2 3s. Not looking so hot either. Rafa might be on one, though. I told him earlier. I said to him earlier when he put in his prediction, I said, I cannot wait to flame you on the broadcast for it.
Yeah, you did.
And he told me, don't worry, they're gonna win 3-0. I'll say, you know what? I will eat crow. I will apologize to you publicly if that happens. I'm writing my apology as we speak, Roodoo, over on my other monitor, as we're here for what could be the final game.
As you might imagine, the EDG fans quite happy with where they are in this current game and in this current series. As just to confirm our suspicions, it was the Ziggs going into the bot lane. Karis going to be playing this Corki out in the mid lane versus the Akali. So again, usually you see the Akali taken versus those control mages, importantly, and can typically have a pretty good time of things versus a Talia versus an Orianna, for example. But in this instance, up against a Corki, you expect that the Corki with this Doran's Blade will be able to punish quite heavily through the early stages of this game. Important note as we take a look at these runes, it is second win for the Akali, so again, I expect her to be more than happy to just, with this Doran's shield, with that second wind, be able to sustain up very heavily against the poke that comes down from this Corki.
Theoretically, this should take a little bit of power out of Xiaohao around the middle of the map, because Angel might have a bit of a harder time, but remember this bot lane that we talked about. EDG being able to get these ranged advantages here means that he will have room to breathe. Monki starting on the bottom side means that despite how poorly right now it's going for Team WE's bot lane, you will not have to be worried of any invade down there. However, we'll have to be worried of an invade up here.
So I'm not sure if this was spotted. Looking at the wards on the minimap as well, there is some...
He went all the way around.
That ramp. If he went up through the top side, then... You know, there's just no information. I mean, maybe the idea that he's not taken those raptors is going to be a bit of an indicator themselves, and you can see minimap, on the minimap there are pings sort of saying, oh, there's maybe somebody down there, as you can just see the power of this Ezreal Bard. You know, what does an Alistair do level 1? It's absolutely nothing. Headbutts you away a little bit. He's not spotted on that ward, so yeah, it was really good for Xiaohao to make his way in. You can see Monki comes up to this top side. Team, I've lost my blue buff.
The heist is insane. Xiaohao is just... He's got Monki downloaded this series. You know, it's not the first time that we saw him, you know, get in there and disrupt him a little bit. It happened a little bit in game 2. And, you know, the creative jungle pathing has made a large impact, I should say, in this series so far. Monki trying to slide in and steal these Raptors, but he's going to very quickly... Oh, he didn't spot Xiaohao, actually. Now he does with his hand in the cookie jar. Parukia taking the Bard portal over the wall to disrupt this further, but now Parukia is between a rock and a hard place because Corky's chasing him down. Tries to make a snappy flash play, but now the re-engage is here. Xiaohao looking to find this kill, but it's first blood going over to Karis, and Xiaohao is forced away. Now Angel wants a piece of this Corky, taking him down to even HP, but now Karis is completely out of mana. Angel is looking to get the 1v1 kill, and Karis will flash away.
Okay, good flash from Karis that dodges out on one more 5-point strike, but he misses Phosphorus Bomb there, and Angel takes that potion nice and early. He's more than happy to sustain up through the D-Shield, the second wind, giving him HP during that fight. It is first blood over to the Corky, though, and Parukia there with a pretty big whiff as he tries to go for a Q flash to stun into the wall, and so just with the slow, and unfortunately as level 2 Bard, he's very, very squishy. He does just get taken down, and you know, even the fact that Monki gets out of there with any form of safety or with any form of HP is a bit of a blessing. EDG, a little bit of a mistake, a little bit of a fumble early on, gives this Corky a little bit of extra gold, the extra HPs to be able to sustain Angel with that level 6 marker coming ever closer.
Monki now with that Sheen means he should have a little bit more skirmishing power here as Vampire. Let's just get a little bit of vision down, gonna secure this bottom crab for Monki, so... after a little of a weird start, Monki hasn't been disrupted too much, which we've talked about over and over again. It's one of the big ways to set behind Team WE. He will be ever so slightly behind, but not behind enough that you're actually worried.
The good thing is despite all of the bot lane shellacking that happened, Taeyoon was able to get back to base without dying and was able to purchase a tier of the Goddess, which means that he's now happy, set, and ready down on that bot side to start scaling on up. And even now, actually, with that mana pool getting slightly increased, he outranges the Ezreal, he outranges the Bard, so he can start to lay down a little bit of damage as well. One of the really scary things about this Ziggs is the range that they can play with in the laning phase. Even just a couple of bombs can begin to chunk you out, and the mana costs really aren't all that high, so you don't get punished for missing out on those spells super early on anyway. WE in an okay position again, a reminder that, level 6.
Oh, public execution, yeah, he just wants to go after Cube. He knows he doesn't have any mana. So get whatever damage you can in an effort to take as much control as possible. As things haven't really gone crazy yet, but Monki just dinging level 5. Level 6 will be on the horizon soon. We'll see a lot of impact there. Xiaohao as well. We're pretty much in the waiting room for these junglers to hit 6 and start making an impact. I think we might have to be waiting till then for this dragon to see any action.
On the bot side, Parukia.
Oh, wait.
Knocked back.
Oh, that was a great satchel. Parukia had a little bit of trouble. Going to chase him down. Taeyoon is just continuing to play so well in this series.
Yeah, Flashes nails the bomb on the exit of the portal there. Means that Parukia falls for a second time in this game, and the Bard has been a little bit underwhelming so far. That first recall came through, and it's given a very good chance and a very good opening for this Ziggs down on the bot side to really begin to perform. Not quite ahead in form, but definitely in a good spot as Karis now face checks.
Okay, Karis is able to hop away without too much of an issue, so Team WE early on getting these advantages, not giving a whole lot up. This is exactly what you need out of them, the stability early on. Karis has already gotten going. He doesn't need to do anything more at this point. Just try to do what he can to make sure that Angel is a little weaker.
Worth pointing out here that ZDZ has actually had a very good time of things up on this top side for EDG. Has been able to force Cube back for a second time. This time around, the Scion doesn't have teleport. So he's actually going to be swapped out of this lane. He moves down to the bot side to try and catch some semblance of a wave, while Taeyoon can move up to that top lane. And now with the Lost Chapter, really doesn't have any mana issues whatsoever. But ZDZ didn't have to use his teleport at all, so actually gets to walk back out to that top side largely unscathed. As they'll see Taeyoon is up there now, and maybe with this ulti coming up in 5 seconds, he might be the person that can close that gap, that can take down the Ziggs and really cause some issues for Taeyoon.
Grub's in just about 15 seconds, and you know EDG would like to have them. Got to keep them away from Ziggs. It's always a worry. We might see a true trade come out a little soon as Cube on the flank here. He is level 7, so he has that ultimate, but Team WE don't really want any part of this.
No ulti yet for Monki. Has been kept a little bit down as Xiaohao also able to move in, steal away the red buff. Monki will get them off of these wolves. It does mean that EDG forced the enemy jungler up to that top side. They forced WE to walk up towards the grubs. And again, like you mentioned, with Taeyoon in the game, you need to be cognizant of giving grubs over to WE and making sure that there's not a lot of free time given to Taeyoon and turrets. Of course, for those uninitiated, the Ziggs W executes turrets from 25% HP. Be a quick chunk onto ZDZ here, as he should be able to walk his way out of this one.
Well, he wants to go back in a little bit, but he managed to take Taeyoon to about half. Dragon secured for EDG, and over on the other side, Monki starting up these grubs already has the first one. I can't imagine there's going to be any contest coming out here as Xiaohao is recalled. As Parukia shows up to the top side to cover his top laner.
It is worth saying as well that for the Ziggs landing skill shots this game, as much as it may seem like a quintessential part of Ziggs, is going to be difficult. You have a Carly with triple dashes plus proto belt. You have ZDZ with a dash every time he casts a spell. Ezreal as well. Arcane Shift, Bard Portals, taking people out to safety, right? We've seen a little bit of that be engaged and initiated upon, but overall, if the Ziggs is trying to land spells onto people who aren't CC'd or who still have mobility spells, you might find it a little bit difficult to get that consistent DPS down that we are hoping for. In terms of the CC setup as well, there are bits, there are headbutt pulverize to knock up, there's a cube there as well with a good amount of CC to make something happen. It's about whether or not Taeyoon can time it with the rest of his team and how well that synergy can look to peter out. It's something that's been lacking for WE so far in this series, but something that they're going to need to hone in on if they want the Ziggs to succeed.
Yeah, the one issue is that these knockups are very telegraphed, right? So it's going to be a bit of an issue because EDG is already going to be on high alert to make sure they are dodging out of these potential knockups. You know, if Wukong is walking towards you where he suddenly stops moving, uh-oh, I got to get out of there. You know, same thing with Alistar if he's bearing down on you. So we'll see if Taeyoon is able to get the job done.
And again, right, we talked a lot this series about the fact that EDG typically have had that better scaling composition. I do think that this game isn't one that necessarily comes down to scaling specifically. There is a lot more execution based around this composition, and as this game gets later, I do think that the execution for EDG, the barrier gets a little bit higher. Like, what they have to do is more difficult, but overall, if they can execute it better, I do think they've got good tools to be able to make it work. They need to be able to find pincer maneuvers, right, where Angel and ZDZ can come in from different angles, where Xiaohao can make a play over the top, and a Bard Portal can, or a Bard ulti can set them up for that. They've also got Pantheon that can make it work as well, and their job for the late game is to kill Taeyoon, to kill Karis, and make those two champions a little bit redundant. We've seen Xiaohao lurking on this top side. Going to be importantly waiting for Vampire's cooldowns to go. If the Alistar uses combo, that's the go button for EDG.
Okay, walking in just to try to clear out some of this vision, as this game has been much quieter for EDG than the ones prior. Feels like a much quieter game overall outside of that early dust-ups. So the action has been rather muted since then. We've got a dragon at about 2 minutes. We have Monki up on the top side here, looking to create some further pressure here. Vampire's going to be the one to scout this out. Monki will show. But again, will just be not much of anything.
It's not about the individual champions scaling, it's about how all of these champions work together, and I think the EDG can be quite happy just sat back waiting for the eventual objective setups, right, where theoretically they'll be waiting for WE to set up around those objectives, and then they can look to collapse in on them. It's on WE to try and take those, so we're looking at 90 seconds time when there's a dragon spawning. We need to head into that. They need to start taking control. They've got double tier champions who are 2 items are going to really look to spike. They have some really strong 1 item markers as well.
Yep.
Just looking across the board, Luden's picked up. That's great poke. You've got the Trinity Force, double Trinity Force for Karis and Monki. This is their time to really make these executive decisions and look for these plays to try and extend an advantage.
Well, they're going to try to make a play on his ZDZ here, and he's on an island, 3v1, trying to do what he can to clear out this minion wave. Here comes the Pantheon ult. Xiaohao looking to turn onto a potential target, but it'll just be used as coverage, so not a bad play there from both sides to bait out what they can.
I think that's overall a bit of a win for WE, right? They get the Pantheon ulti for effectively nothing. Doesn't cost them anything to go for that. No Alistar ulti, no summoners, no nothing like that. It gets expended, and it is just a nice and quick job in and out for WE to make sure that now that Xiaohao's pressure on the rest of the map is a little bit muted for the next couple of minutes, and that's importantly going to tick over to when that dragon spawns. So his way into that fight around that neutral objective is through the front, right? There's no unique angle that he can generate with that ulti. It's about him making it for himself. You know, we talked about those 1-item markers being hit. Fortunately for EDG, they've got just as many as well. Proto Belt's online. We've got the Eclipse ready for ZDZ. And if they want to go for this fight here, items dictate that there's no one side that has the advantage. It becomes more about that setup and about who wants to go for it first.
And it looks like the dragon will just go the way of Team WE, so it'll be a while before we see much of anything in the way of dragon stacking, as it's one apiece for both of these squads. And I think you're okay with that if you're EDG, to be honest. You are just allowing Ezreal to get to his 2-item spike. You're waiting for Angel to find these right opportunities. It is a little bit problematic, though, because we know that Taeyoon scales incredibly well. Ezreal going to come down and try to help out Angel, keep these guys away from him.
Clears out the wave, or at least sets up for Angel to throw a quick Q in there and keep that backline at bay. Can see, though, that WE are focusing a lot of gold onto Karis, a player who we came into this series and highlighted as one of the weak spots of WE. He's been given a lot of gold, a lot of resources here to try and make something happen, as the turret will fall.
They're staying a little close here as Angel. He's already so low on HP. Taeyoon's ultimate will go and grab the kill. An ill-advised decision by EDG. Now EDG is on the backside here, and he's all alone trying to fade away. He's going to use the public execution, trying to flash away, but they're just on top of him and taking him down. Team WE getting it done early.
And this is what we are used to from WE. These fights that they take through the early game, leading them into some very solid positions. In games 1 and 2, the fights that they went, they were ill-advised. They didn't have the numbers. They didn't have the opportunity to do that. But look at that Pantheon ulti cooldown. 1 second off of cooldown now. Xiaohao wasn't there to respond. They burned the ulti early, and then they look to rinse and repeat. They do the same thing again. Taeyoon, once again, it's worth mentioning. Great timing on that Mega Inferno Bomb. It can be difficult to time that Ziggs ulti because you've got to factor in not just the positioning of it, but also the time it takes to travel based on how far away you are. But the fact that he nails that for when the ulti stops. Vampire's now almost dead there. Didn't have the ulti to keep himself alive, but we have a Herald, Yanni, and that's where our attentions are going to turn.
Yeah, EDG need to get something going soon. And it looks like it's not going to be the Rift Herald for right now, as Xiaohao is going to head to the bottom side. I don't know, it looks like he's going to turn completely around and head back up top. We see a lot of pings going down on both sides here. Very well aware that EDG are going to start this up.
Neither of our top laners have teleport, so ZDZ pushes in that bot wave and walks up first. Cube now needs to make a choice. Is he going to push this extra wave and then use his ulti? Or is he going to... because that's going to make him late to this. Might mean that ZDZ loses out. It just means that, honestly, EDG get this with very little response. There's nothing to be done here by WE, and they're just getting the Herald without any recompense.
A bit of a surprise, I must admit, is Team WE have a 2,000 gold advantage, but they are playing it safe so far. Playing it nice and intelligently, I'll say, if not a little reserved. Now Karis looking to chase down the EDG jungler and a mid laner. We see a lot of pings coming down on this top side, Roodoo.
The gaps are closing. There's a Herald out for one person, but can 2 people make it out of this? They're looking. It's 5 people from EDG up on the top side. Maybe we're trying to spin this around.
Yeah, another creative Herald play. We're going to look for the Taeyoon knock up here, and we're going to look to turn around. The Tempered Fate. Is the timing there? No, he goes right into the wall. Vampire's ultimate keeps him alive. Angel on the backside, completely alone right now as Cube is able to play bodyguard. He's absorbing a lot of damage, but there's just not a whole lot that EDG is pumping out right now. So the Rift Herald usage will only be to spare a dive.
And it's very close. It's almost too nail-biting between these teams, as everybody goes for a big 5v5 on that top side, but nobody willing to make that commitment. and ends up sealing one member's fate. With WE winning out on the HP trade, though, they can use the Ziggs here, use the Herald and the Grubs rather, to take down this turret. One swift swoop, and ZDZ using public execution there. They're looking
Here we
still.
go. We've got. Yeah. Oh my goodness! Where did he go? He went straight back to the base because he's dead. Team WE absolutely dominating EDG here in Game 3.
Oh,
Parukia looking to keep them around, but he may have just baited the rest of his team. Double kill for Karis, looking for On Angel's perfect execution. Won't yield a kill as he's got to run scared, and Team WE get another.
Yeah, it's anything but perfect, unfortunately, for Angel as he ultis out. A great flash from Karis. Maybe not necessarily the best timing on it, but he gets out and baits Karis, or baits Angel to ulti the wrong way, thinking that he can find a kill and get out to safety. As soon as EDZ misses this, unfortunately, Xiaohao's already channeled his ulti. Foss Bomb, fully channeled Decimating Smash. There's a Ziggs Minefield laying down on the floor as well. There's a Cyclone ready. There's too much CC and too much damage, and the Pantheon never gets to E. And then Parukia goes back in here. Angel goes in as well. Yeah, you've got the very small shield that prevents your damage, as they are fighting on live, Yanni. Looks like that tier 1 turret's going to go falling as well.
Yeah, Team WE.
There we go.
They're just playing a fantastic macro game right now, and if you want to learn how to play a fantastic macro game, you can take the opportunity to learn directly from pros themselves. Whatever your rank, the best way to start climbing now is to schedule a coaching session at prodiv.gg. You'll work one-on-one with an active or recent player in the NACL, ERLs, or LTA, who will teach you to play like a pro. Get personalized coaching from the pros today at prodiv.gg using code LPL10 at checkout to save 10% and support the LPL English broadcast.
Now it's about, can WE close this game out? I mean, 4,500 gold lead, nearing 5,000. Observers pivot up to the throw magnet itself. That is the next objective on the board for these two sides, as WE swiftly dispatched of that dragon down in the bot lane. Maybe low roll a little bit in that Cloud Soul, but they'll be more than happy to find another objective for themselves. Their composition, again, one that death balls incredibly well, but if EDG are able to get to that late game on a small amount of parity here, do expect that it's going to be quite alright for WE, and quite alright more so for EDG in the late game, to be able to try and find these fights. But WE have done such a good job at peeling, at keeping their team alive, keeping Karis, keeping Taeyoon in a position to consistently churn out damage. Not really too worried about it just yet.
Xiaohao's ultimate is up now. With this Alicon being done, it feels like you're going to have to at least give it a shot. It's at 5,000 HP. Yeah. He's still waiting. Teleport coming in. Angels on the backside. Here we go. Ultimate coming through. Who's going to secure it? It's taken by Team WE. But the team is so disconnected. Xiaohao will fall. Parukia able to use the magical journey to try to get away, but it means that Team WE is able to get a little bit closer. Stun is out, but Vampire undaunted. Now is going to look to peel back onto ZDZ. Angel on the backside. This is your best chance if you're EDG, and you just can't get anything done. He'll look for Taeyoon, and he will not find him. 11 kills to nothing. No turrets for EDG. No grubs. Just a dragon. It is complete and utter domination by WE here in Game 3.
And they're looking incredibly good. They are looking like the team that took down AL, as now Vampire's found On.
Yep, the knockup a little delayed to make sure the rest of the team could get there in time. And On will fall too. It is a 12th kill.
It's just an extra cookie to take out. And it's just so well played by Vampire to find that kill on the back half of this. This fight is just WE collapsing together. Monki once again. The second Pantheon lands, he gets CC'd. This Cyclone is working wonders versus the Pantheon, and Xiaohao can never make anything happen. Vampire once again buffers the CC, stops immediately with his ulti, and Orb just this entire time is getting damage down. He just doesn't have enough. He's had to walk away from Cube, who's full HP. Good flash here from Taeyoon. Maybe baits out a little bit too much of Angel's damage, but again, at this stage in the game, the Akali can't actually do a right lot. And it really is just a wallet diff at this point. Nothing particularly tragic from EDG in that fight. They just didn't have the damage to be able to cut through what is a very, very scary Scion.
He just cannot move this guy right now. He's got way too much resistance. His EDG's damage is just not there yet. We're finally seeing ZDZ get onto a second item here. Xiaohao isn't even close. Angel's not close. It is dire straits. I guess dire straits isn't even the right word. It feels like they're not even in any sort of straits. They are completely out of this game, and Team WE are surgical with the way they are sieging right now. Here comes an ultimate on the backside to try to make a squeeze play here. Xiaohao getting there. On the back line is ZDZ. Trying to do what he can, but he gets blown up immediately. Xiaohao getting taken very low. So is Angel. They just can't find the carries of Team WE. A triple kill for Karis, and I've never seen a Corki look so protected against a team like EDG on the last one standing, but he is now sitting. It is an ace for Team WE, and they are looking to end the game and go to game 4.
17-0. This has been meticulous from WE. And they're just going to take the game.
Monki will get his first win on Wukong in 2025, and he earned every bit of it. All of Team WE firing on all cylinders, Roodoo.
I mean, that was the shortest game of this series. It was incredibly well done. I mean, for the first 10 minutes, we were sat here kind of twiddling our thumbs. Not a lot had happened. A couple kills went down, but all of a sudden, WE just, you know, a little bit of kicks into overdrive. I think that Ziggs worked wonders for them. They took down all the turrets in such methodical fashion as well. They were like, okay, we'll take all the tier 1s. We'll do a nice little swoop around, take these tier 1 turrets with our grubs and our Ziggs. We'll take the top lane tier 2 just off the back of a nice fight around Atakan. And then again, sequentially went to mid lane. Oh, we've got a wave pushing in bot side. Let's go and take that bot tier 2 turret as well. They don't have the damage or the gold to try to fight us. And again, it just feels like a far cry from anything that WE have done so far this series. Which again, in contrast to what they did against AL, this feels like what we should have expected. We should have had 3 games of this.
This might have been the cleanest game that Team WE's played all year. You know, not even
17-0, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, you know, that is, ooh, man, that is sparkling right now. It is very bright, in fact, and the lights may have been a little bit too bright for Parukia in that third game. He did not perform well on this part.
No, I mean, he was looking for plays that unfortunately just kind of this misunderstanding of the damage that he had or that his team had maybe about how well they could close that gap. You know, the flash at level 2 to try and stun into the wall. First of all, the stun doesn't hit, so it's a missed mechanical play, but also the damage that comes through off the back of it isn't nearly enough as what they need, and Monki able to sustain himself, keeps himself alive, and flash out to safety. Again, really, really important, but you know, a couple fights down on the bot side as well, where the Ziggs had, you know, Tia, who was absolutely fine, finds a flash forward, finds a kill out the back of the portal. Really, really good play by Taeyoon once again on this Ziggs, and this time round it was when Karis stepped up as well. We highlighted these mid laners at the beginning of the day. Angel pretty irrelevant on this Akali in this game, where Taeyoon and Karis, more importantly on the Corki, looked phenomenal.
Yeah, and we were really like, Akali is going to be the big fixture, right? This is going to be a takeaway from Team WE, and Karis isn't going to be able to get his hands on it. It's one of his better champions. Well, he went over to Angel, who had that fantastic game to cap off his regular season. And, well, over the course of those 2 games, he's got 19 kills. He had 19 kills in the first game. He did not have any kills in this one. That is that is a little rough. And you know what? Maybe Taeyoon said something to the team because they looked way different. He's like, guys, please give me some help. Team's like, okay, fine, we're ready. Karis finally got the mouse to the specifications that he wanted. It took 2 games, I guess. But he looked quite good in this game. And you take a look at the damage charts, I mean, woof, that's bad.
Yeah, that's not great. You know, your Akali's getting almost more than out damaged by twice the amount by the enemy mid laner. Almost, I mean, he was out damaged by the Scion, which is a bit more telling than anything else, maybe a bit more damning than most things. And you can see, I mean, it's 17-0, Yanni, like no kills to speak of for EDG. That's a disaster. Yeah,
there's not much for us to talk about, to be honest. It is just singing the praises of WE because of how controlled they played this game. It really did feel like they slowed down quite a bit. You know, it's not their usual play. They usually like to play a little bit more fast and aggressive, but this time they took the pace down a little bit, and I actually think it was a big benefit to them, and I wonder if they're going to play out Game 4 similarly to that. Roodoo, I think an MVP selection might be a little hard in this game. What about you? What do you think?
I actually think that the most palpable difference that I could see in this game was that Monki was absolutely destroying Xiaohao on the engages.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be against just giving it to Karis for a very, very solid Corki performance. I wouldn't be against giving it to Taeyoon for finding a couple of early kills and being a real threat through this. I mean, the way that Karis just W's on top of people and still lives, not a single kill for EDG this entire game. I mean, it kind of speaks to the fact that they are absolutely zooming through that game. I don't know, what are your MVP thoughts?
It's a little tough
Yanni team
because...
MVP?
No. You see, you mentioned the W's on Karis, and I think that's like a good shot. But the problem is, I feel like the team was so good around him that like it enables him to do that. I think I don't feel like Monki did enough for me to give it to him, but I think I'm split between those two. You know what? I think I'm just going to give it to Karis because this guy has not really played phenomenally in 2025, and this is a really good game out of him.
It was, and I think that for the most part as well, he sustained himself early on, which is really, really important. It's the fact that he's able to keep the Akali in check through the early game, and then also be able to pump out the damage as we got later and later on. So, I mean, again, it really, we can make the argument that Taeyoon gets it, Karis gets it. I do think that Monki in these team fights was pretty instrumental in keeping Xiaohao at bay, which felt like the way that EDG needed to play this game out.
Might be right.
I think the good thing for WE this game, and for me in particular, is that they went out and won this game. They didn't... EDG didn't lose this game. WE went out and won it, right? They made the plays where they're diving under the turret and they're looking like a clean squad. That's what's the big headline here, is that WE went and won this game instead of EDG kind of throwing it away. Yeah.
And, EDG never had... It was the first game that they never had any sort of foothold in, right? And I wonder how they're going to feel going into game 4 about that. We oftentimes will see teams bounce back pretty hard when they're really beaten down that badly, but Team WE could also be catching fire, right? It's really hard to determine. It's, double speak essentially, but it's very difficult. Karis is going to get that MVP. Again, it could have went to a lot of people, so I'm not too upset at this.
No, I think this is what makes sense. And again, second MVP for him this split long, which is... when WE have won so many games, and, Karis hasn't really been the linchpin for the majority of those, it's good to see that he's got his second one here. I think it's, the other probably coming from that big Akali game that he had earlier on in the split. So good to see that he's finding a little bit of form in the back half of this season, and maybe that's what WE need to push themselves a bit further.
Roodoo, that game was so quick that I just feel like we went to break to go to game 3, but now we're here getting ready to go to break to game 4. So, we'll see you guys on the other side. Be right back.